if you want things to change, you better be radically accountable and ready to go in there and shake it up and demand more and earn that. Handle biz right now, because it is absolutely not in anyone's favor anymore.
Right on. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Finding a Way, the podcast for positive change. I'm your host, Jim, and today we have a very special conversation with the CEO of District Works, among many other things, Andrew Jones. Andrew, thanks for being here with us today.
Thank you, Jim. I appreciate you having me.
So,
Absolutely.
First of all, before we go too deep, just human to human, how you doing today?
You know, it's today's been a good day.
That's good.
We got to do a little pitch to a big client, and I think it went really well. So sometimes in life, that's how I, kind of gauge. But no, in general, doing well. Thank you.
Good to hear.
You?
I'm doing all right. We're moving. If you asked me yesterday, that was a totally different story. We're not gonna go there because we don't live in the rear view like that. We got to keep moving forward. But today is better than yesterday. That's all we can ask for.
I love that. Absolutely.
Is there anything that you can highlight about that pitch, or is this just still under wraps a little bit?
Well, it is working with one of our kind of bigger clients right now, BART.
Okay.
Part of what we do is, we serve our clients, and typically that's the clients that are like nonprofits and municipalities, and they're in service of community and various public spaces. So in this case, it's the restroom attendant program at BART. So there's 6 different stations. We provide restroom attendants for all operating hours every day of the week, so that the public can come to the restrooms and enjoy know that there's going to be a positive experience when going into the restroom.
Which isn't always guaranteed.
Which is definitely not guaranteed. But to BART's credit, they recognize that, and they've invested in this additional layer of staffing, which is really just rooted in customer service and great experiences at BART. And I think it's coupled with a bunch of other programs they're doing, which are leading to much better experiences overall for folks using BART. So we're thrilled to be in partnership with them. And this is a continuation of that contract. So would love to continue serving BART, and hopefully we get it.
We're looking forward to that. We're rooting for you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
I don't want to go too graphic for you guys too early, but, just imagine a subway, and, if you're thinking about New York and stuff like that, BART is our version of that. So if you imagine what a subway looks like, you can imagine what a subway restroom looks like, and it's not always great.
It has a historic bad stench and experience.
Right.
Yeah.
But, you got to start somewhere. Hopefully we can rectify that, and hopefully you guys get that deal.
That's right. I appreciate it.
Right on. So just a little bit of context. Can you help people understand what is District Works and what is it that you do?
Yeah. District Works is a company that is dedicated to the idea that that public spaces, urban spaces, are really important to human interaction and tradition building and cultural expression. And much like any venue or much like any space, it really benefits from kind of nuanced management. And so what we do is our team is it's an industry called urban place management. It's kind of a new and kind of burgeoning industry, been around probably for about 30, 40 years in like earnest. But District Works manages public spaces, and we provide staffing deployments or activations or consultancy for nonprofits and municipalities that want to really either do, kind of robust cleaning projects, hospitality programs, safety initiatives, events and activations, retail kind of attraction strategies. And so you can just think about it as like an ecosystem in a downtown, and a healthy ecosystem has great transportation, a mix of residents, a mix of businesses, retail, bars, restaurants, events. And when you kind of get that mixture right, it really is representative of the community that you're in, and it feels good, feels authentic, it feels cared for. And so that's our ambition, is to serve these communities, make sure they feel cared for, make sure that staff is there to support and keep things looking beautiful, feeling good, smelling good,
Pleasant.
you
Yeah.
know, and that every member of our community gets serviced. And that can be people that are just coming and going. That can be people who live here. And it can be those that are kind of, you know, maybe even unsheltered or having, you know, or in mental crisis, or kind of all walks of life. Have the right to be in a downtown and to be treated with dignity and to receive care and service. And that's what we're about.
Right on. I love that. I was actually just talking to somebody about I think, underrated importance that the role of space in
Yeah.
community.
Yeah.
And, we always think about a lot about, where should we be investing and stuff like that? How can we improve our situations and, make people feel like they're actually a part of a community?
Yeah.
But a lot of that has to do with a lot of stuff you just mentioned, like how we're activating spaces, how we're designing spaces.
Yes.
What kind of took you to this space of District Works? Are you a founder or
Yeah.
speak to that?
Yeah, thank you. So my business partner, Steve Snyder, and I have been working together for 21 years now. And he is my right-hand guy, one of my best friends in the world. And he's like really the visionary for our company. I'm more of the doer. In fact, in a lot of ways, he should probably be in this seat more than I should.
Humble.
But we have been working together that entire time, really in downtown Oakland, and kind of backing up a little bit. We own a series of companies. Like we own 4 different companies right now, and they all function in some ways very, if I explain it all to you, you're like, oh, I get why they're all connected, but they're kind of vertical in that way. So 21 years ago, we meet in downtown Oakland. He's running a place called the Oakland Box Theater, which is kind of a legendary, like local art-centric black box theater and art gallery. And his vision is 4 walls and a roof, really creating space that all cultures and all walks of life can come and have a place to celebrate and to kind of share in ritual, and to do it in a safe, well-managed, really great production, really well, cared for space. And so he started that, to his testament, like this is like tumbleweeds in downtown Oakland. This is like way pre
20 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, this is like actually more like 22, 23 years ago. This is 99, 2000. And he built out this space, and ultimately that was his vision, was to kind of like continue to create really meaningful experiences through celebration. That's like a celebratory mindset. It's kind of woven into everything we do, and that's like what we are passionate about. So I was getting out of high school, and he was doing a kind of a youth in production program there. And some kids I knew were in it, and I happened to be managing my buddies who were all like MCs and beat makers and, graffiti artists and break dancers. And we started a hip hop crew called the Delinquent Monastery.
Okay.
So it's all Oakland, this is like, and I'm born and raised here. And so we were just doing shows. And then I found out that this guy has a venue in downtown Oakland. And so I just I introduced myself to him. And he was like, hey, you got something going on here? Like I had some background in events in high school. And so I came in and I was kind of like helping him out. He's like, damn, dude. Okay. Like, let's keep going, And so I had my guys, we were rapping. I was DJing for him, putting on the events. And we started, kind of building a community down there. And one thing after the other, Steve and I continued to work together, and we took on another venue, what is now called Acapella, formerly the Starline Social Club. And before that, it was 2232 MLK. And then we got Sweets Ballroom. And what we found is that we're good at hosting people in our spaces. And in 2008, we started a company called Oakland Venue Management. And we think that Oakland could really, we recognize that Oakland could really use what our skill set was, which is professionally managed event spaces that are open to all walks of life. They're not alcohol based. They're all ages in general. And, you could do a wedding, or you could do a motorcycle club event, or you could do, Tech Nine, or you could do this, you could do that. And so we hosted all of these events. And then we started taking our events management skills out on the streets, and we're doing festivals, and we're hosting people and closing streets and doing sound systems. And we just kept growing this kind of, bootstrapped event production company. And so in the end, hosting people, creating really safe, welcoming, well-managed and curated space is at our core of everything we do.
Yeah.
And then, during the pandemic, our events business shut down.
That might have been quite a wrench. Yeah.
Yeah. Was like, well, okay, there's at the time, 17 years of a career. But Fortunately for us, we had the foresight to pivot. We knew that there is this industry of urban place management. We had been dabbling in it. Oakland has 10 what are called CBDs, or community benefit districts. And these are districts that are kind of formed to support these business corridors. There's the two in downtown Oakland we manage. And we ultimately were like, hey, like, let's take all this event industry experience and HR and like, let's pivot hard and create a company that serves these districts. And District Works was formed. And so District Works is like truly just like a really niche staffing group. I hate saying it quite like that because I think it's not exactly what it is, but it's
Right.
really niche staffing deployments. It's really specialized project management. And it really functions to think about downtowns as like outdoor venues or malls. And what do venues need? They need programming, they need safety, they need janitorial, they need programming, all of those things kind of woven together. And you're like, damn, that venue's popping. Or it's
Yeah.
like, dang, that downtown, wow, okay, they got something going on.
Yeah.
And so you can see that in like, obviously small neighborhoods across the Bay Area that you're like, why does this neighborhood just feel like it's bristling with energy? It's
Yeah.
because they got great retail and everything is full and the restaurants are out on the street and it's like, oh, so how do you bring that energy to urban centers? And so,
Yeah. So it's almost like you took that, I mean, literally, you said you took that event management, event planning resume essentially and kind of applied that to the gap in the market that you saw with the need for district works.
that's right.
Yeah, that's awesome. So can you tell us a little bit about, maybe somewhere we might recognize you guys? I know you said you guys do a lot of events,
Yeah.
a lot of the staffing and stuff like that for different organizations and,
Yeah.
corridors downtown. Do you want to speak to that a little bit?
Yeah. So, kind of the legacy event management stuff is Oakland venue management. We manage the Bridge Yard right now. Currently, we also manage the events at the Uptown Station. We're working right now with the Emeryville Public Market and bringing a
Awesome.
new event space on with them, and we do kind of all of their events. And then we're kind of like a hired gun for production work. So, lots of sound system rentals. Like we're doing private parties. What's another? We're like working with Urban Peace Movement, which is an amazing nonprofit here in Oakland. We're doing Town Up Tuesdays. We've been doing their production in partnership with their production for I think 3 years now, 4 years now. So we kind of do like our own event thing in our own venues that we manage the bookings, the operations of, and then we do events outside of that. So you'll see us kind of in the background of things. We're kind of like, we don't book talent typically, and we don't market anything. We're operations people.
Gotcha.
So, like an event may come and go and they're like, you wouldn't even know we were a part of it. If it sounds really good and it's well operated, you can associate it with us.
Sorry,
Sure.
though.
But definitely the rooms that we manage are kind of day to day. And then like the district works team, I mean, it's like we're all over the Bay Area. So we've got contracts in San Francisco. You'll see the trucks. They're marked. This says District Works. If you're downtown Oakland, you see our guys and gals in bright green and blue shirts, and they're walking around doing all sorts of projects. If you see someone pushing a cart, sweeping a street, engaging with someone who might be in crisis, trying to solve a problem, or walking an elder to and from their car, and you see the bright green shirt, that's us.
There you go.
That's our team, and we're working on behalf of the nonprofit, the Uptown and Downtown Oakland Community Benefit District. That's our client. They're the nonprofit that collects the money, and then they pay us as a vendor to operate their clean and safe programs.
Gotcha.
So that's kind of how that works. And that's true across kind of North America. There's probably like 3,000 of these districts in North America, and most of them are kind of built around this idea of cleanliness and order and maintenance hospitality. So, property owners will kind of get together, create a fund of money. That fund is to be spent kind of in those categories of cleanliness, safety, and like marketing. And so our team comes in and we're willing to help, spend that money and help them achieve their goals however they need.
Right on. Okay. So that's a little context about District Works.
Yeah.
Let's take a step into the time machine and go back to the early days. You mentioned a little bit about high school.
Yeah.
I was checking this guy's LinkedIn. He said he went to the school of hard knocks, y'all. And I love that. So just tell us a little bit about, how you got to where you are today.
I'm glad you caught that. I was having fun with that. I can't stand social media generally, and I was
We already had our fun with LinkedIn, y'all, but let's hear
yeah.
them
All
out.
right, all right, fair enough. Well, first of all, my family is, still, large part here in Oakland, San
Mhm.
Leandro, and I'm born and raised here, and I'm fifth generation Oakland,
There you
and
go.
we're very a part of this community, and yeah, I'm at Milwaukee Miller, Montera, kind of, having fun. And not really not really oriented for classroom education.
Mhm.
My mom recognized that really early. She was like, okay, like we need to figure this out. So to her credit, she found a continuation high school in Piedmont called Millennium High.
Mhm.
I was like, my Piedmont, come on, Mom. Can I cuss on these?
Do
Okay,
you?
okay. So it might slip. I'm known for that.
It's
So
from Oakland, you.
okay, well I'll just make on bleep bleep. So anyway, so my mom was like, all right, check it out. Like, all your siblings went to the Skyline, like, but you're a little different. Like, see what this vocational school is all about. And
Mm.
and I think that was a stretch that it was really vocational. But to my surprise, the principal was like, hey, you're here in this room because you're not very good at school. So we're going to give you basically a lot of leeway to go volunteer.
Mm.
Do something you're passionate about, figure it out, but like get to it now. So if you're not going to college, you have a career already kind of in going. And that really resonated with me. And I go home and my brother is like, oh, so what do you say? I'm like, go get a job.
Yeah.
So he helped me figure out what I wanted to do. And ultimately I thought I wanted to be an actor. And I was like, kind of like, hey, I want to kind of figure out how to do that thing. And so we looked in the yellow pages, found the Julia Morgan Center of the Arts in Berkeley. And I called them, and a woman named Kimball Wilkins picked up the phone, and she's like, "Sure, kid, like come on down and volunteer." I get there, and this is '99, and John and Kimball Wilkins are two of the most brilliant people I've ever met in my life, my first mentors.
Mm.
And they were like, sure, you can volunteer with our theater company. And basically, I got going with them. This is like my first day of high school.
Right.
And these guys are like the most brilliant producers of theater in the Bay Area, like hard stop, and they were doing like raunchy, freaking avant-garde theater. So it wasn't like high school theater. Like I walk into this thing, I'm like, there's nudity and cussing and strange, plays. And I was like, this is awesome, and I was just hooked, production wise. I was sound, I was lighting. I realized quickly acting wasn't for me. And so throughout high school, I basically produced with them and others, from Shotgun Players, St. Mary's High School and college. Like I traveled all over. I traveled the world. I was like 250 productions deep by the time I exited high school. And so basically my mom was super supportive of that entire thing, driving me all over the Bay Area to all hours of the morning, warehouse parties in San Francisco, anywhere I could get like a volunteer gig, I would do. And so basically I ended high school in '03, and I was like, okay, I'm going to start charging for my time now.
Yeah.
And that was basically the deal. And I haven't worked for anyone ever since,
Wow.
And so it's really that is the history of like my production background. And then I met that guy, Steve Snyder. And he was
Shortly
like,
after
yeah,
high
yeah,
school?
this was like right on me, like the week of I'm
Yeah.
getting out of high school
Wow.
and I'm fearing it. And so he gets the kid that's hyped up, like I've already been traveling. I'm already doing production. So, he was like, okay, and so that's the connection there where he could see the light on like what the skills I brought. And then he had a space and my guys are rapping and it just kind of all of a sudden all culminated. So John and Kimball Wilkins, if they're listening, this is really the first mentorship. Then I meet Steve Snyder. He's got this vision that's deeply rooted in community and cosmology and narrative and story and community like celebration. And it just like just totally struck a chord with me. And so I've always been the hands-on production. He's like really driving vision and culture in our company. Two white guys, navigating the fabric of Oakland and trying to do great work and celebrate and leverage what we have and present it in the right way. And he's really the guy that continues to just drive that and how we conduct ourselves as corporations, right? So it's been you then get to that point and then, you just keep, the next mentor and some other folks that have like seen us along the way. So I think that's a long way of saying that it's been thousands of events, 2 decades of work
Yeah.
and just a ton of like blood, sweat, and tears to figure it out. And as an entrepreneur, just trying to find problems and figure out solutions and figure out how to charge for it.
Yeah. That's what it's all about,
I
man.
think,
It seems like so far so good,
I
right?
mean, it's just a work in progress, but I feel really proud of the work we've done. Like I use that word carefully, but I mean, I'm humbly, I would say we have dedicated, if nothing else, our lives to the betterment of Oakland.
Yeah.
And, how successful we've been, I'll leave it to other people to judge, but I feel like really good when I lay my head down at night knowing that like, our bills are paid, all 130 of our staff, we've never bounced a check, and
Yeah.
we're growing, and people, see what we're doing now more than ever. And so it's finally like, okay, we're catching a little wind and a
Yeah.
couple of breaks and making impact. So,
Well, that's definitely something to be proud of. I'll give you your props if you
oh,
don't.
well,
So,
thank you. Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
just having fun with it still. That's the key. I've
Awesome.
never worked a day in my life. Just
That's
gonna make it
beautiful.
happen.
Yeah, I love that. Man, so I know it's probably really difficult to kind of handpick your, favorite event or, activation or project that you've been on. But if you could, just come top of mind, you can give us a top five, whatever you want to do. But just something
Yeah,
that, when you talk about pride, something that you feel like, man, I'm really proud we got to work on that.
yeah. Okay.
Put them on the spot, y'all.
No, I mean, well, I mean, there's a lot. You know, what was the event? I used to say that my favorite event that we did was at 2232 MLK. This was with Destiny Wolf and Crown City Rockers and Bay Unity Music Project. That night was just the most cracking live music. So I think like in that way, live music wise, that's got to be one of them. The Orishas
Mm.
at Sweets Ballroom is another. Raphael Sadiq at Sweets Ballroom is another. I mean, these are just crazy live performances. The entire series we did in downtown Oakland called Third Thursdays at Latham Square
Okay.
was like ridiculous bookings for 3 years in a row. We did that series. We won what was I going to say? The Indie Awards at the rooftop garden at the Kaiser Center was just so fun.
That's really,
Yeah, so we've, I don't know. It's hard to put a thought to any one of them after all this, but you know, um, yeah, I think that those are kind of like the top three.
yeah,
I feel like I'd be stretching. I mean, there's just been so many,
I can imagine.
but I mean, it's important. It's an important question, and actually one that I need to remember to kind of contemplate further, because like sometimes people bring up events to me and I'm like, oh, we
We did
oh, you look at
I'm sure we did.
yeah, like that was great. It was great for
Yeah.
me. But a lot of the work we did on Art and Soul, or
Yeah.
a lot of the street festivals in these various downtowns. I mean, we did Uptown Unveiled in '09, which was just this insane celebration of culture and art when the Fox Theater was opening. I mean, that's just like a crazy highlight. That night was just like no one's done it before. No one's
Right.
closed Telegraph before like that. Like it was like a very unique celebration. But we've now we also sponsor events. So you're talking like, like even like Black Joy Parade that's happening this weekend. Like these are like really important now becoming institutional events in downtown. Like I said, we did the Chinatown Night Market we did last September. It was insane. Celebrate. I mean, and this is like, I know we're going to get into this, and I think in some of the questions you gave me, but I just highlight here that like one of those moments in life that keeps you in balance, because there's all of this kind of negative stuff that people talk about Oakland all the time, and I've combated it my entire life, my entire career, this story about Oakland. And if you're not from here, you don't get it. But like that night, the Chinatown Night Market, it was first of its kind, street food, all sorts of, music and celebration. It was like my kids were there. It was like such a it filled the bucket, it balanced out the spirit, and it made me just like remember why we do everything we do.
Yeah.
It was just such a phenomenal night, so diverse, age, race, culture, it was so diverse and such a great celebration. Like actually now I'm just talking myself into it. I'm just gonna give you that one.
That's the one.
That's like the
Yeah.
top one right now.
We got there, y'all. We found a way.
Yeah, that was a good one. Thanks for letting me work
Yeah,
through
yeah,
that. It's
for
like
sure.
like
Sometimes you gotta go down that
back in.
down
Yeah.
memory lane, man,
Yeah.
for sure. But no, I think that's you kind of spoke to what I think most people, Bay Area natives, Oakland natives specifically, would love to hear the narrative be. Like, if you're from Oakland, you know you grow up in one of the most diverse, the most culturally rich, historically rich areas, like, period.
Yeah.
And, you know, when you turn on the news, we're not doing our thing all the time. Like
Yeah.
sometimes, you know, there was a period in my life when it's like, you know, we was almost, I don't want to say proud, but like, you know, people would kind of hang their hat on, oh, we're in, you know, the top 5 per capita murders and stuff like that. Like nobody wants to
100%.
really like, you know, highlight that, but that's all we really had to kind of cling on to at some point in some, you know, in some neighborhoods. So it's like to really kind of be a part of fostering that culture that we really are all about. Like even when you think about like the Heist movement and everything, like that was originally about, you know, getting with everybody. It's like the Asians, the Hispanics, the Latino, or, you know, the black people, the white people, everybody, like we can dance to the same music because we're from the
100%.
Bay. So
Yep.
it's like that energy is what I think we just need more of. And I could definitely see how your eyes kind of lit up when you went there. Cause like we all have had that real Oakland night, right? Where it's just like, man, this is why I love it here.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
you know, it's the ones we live for.
Yeah, it's so true, and I'm really, so honored, and I mean, this is like my great privilege is that I've been a part of so many of those moments of celebration that it's hard to remember, but it's like it is like I've got folks that live out of state or whatever, and it's like this. It's so easy to focus on this negative narrative, stereotype, perception, whatever, that it becomes just kind of I don't know if the right word is cliched. It's like easy. It's like it does take effort to sometimes like understand a community, right?
Yeah.
And I'll kind of like tie in a thought here that like there's this idea in urban place management which I've grown less and less fond of. Initially I thought it was like an interesting concept, and I use the word a lot, but place making. And so like if you're in the urban place management industry and you hire District Works, yeah, we're your place making partners. That was like not quite a tagline, but something that would come out of our mouths.
Right.
And it's like it just became really, and there's not that I coined this, but there's this idea of actually no, it's place keeping. Like working with our colleagues, Oakland didn't need to be made into anything great. It already was.
Right.
Now, what we need to work on is enshrining and mandating that we keep this place full and rich and nutritious and relevant, and that is my job really. And so I was using the wrong word for it, but but my life is rooted in this place keeping aspect, paying artists, ensuring that people are working and fed and have opportunity, and we tie that into everything we do. And so there's kind of like this, place keeping and also place knowing. And it's up to this community, in this room, out your friends to maintain place. And that's an effort.
Yeah.
And so when you're out and you're casting stones and you're thinking something about this city and in this region, and you really maybe not, but like when you say it as like just some like fact that's like, oh, look at this, you want to send me a YouTube of like some homeless encampment or something, like you like living there. It's like, yeah, like dude, I cannot think of a more frustrating conversation to be had, and it's something that I've combated my whole life. It's not new to me. It's just played out to me, And so, and as I've learned about other downtowns, and we're getting, flown out to downtowns now to bring what we do, like other cities are noticing, right? It's every city has that, right? Every city has these elements, but every city has these cultural kind of enclaves that need to be supported and brought out and highlighted. Like that's our capital, or that's our export,
I love that because, Bay Area is, I think a huge export of ours would be culture in a way
Absolutely.
where it's like, it's starting to kind of finally hit the mainstream. as far as we just had All-Star highlighting all of our talent and
Sure.
everything from the La Russells to the E40s and Too Shorts. It's like,
For sure.
and that's just in music. But like, it's nice to kind of see us getting our shine, but also, starting to be recognized where we have to offer in different verticals. You mentioned something that I kind of wanted to pick up on because we were kind of just speaking on it a little bit outside, where it's like certain elements of culture you would love to see preserved, um, but it's not always understood. So a little bit about me. I currently live in East Oakland.
Okay.
I'm like really close to the intersection of 90th and MacArthur, which used to be like the widest intersection in the world. So you already know what's going down over there. They
Yeah.
was busting tight ones. They was doing donuts at 3 o'clock in the morning. Somebody complained. They should have complained. But I didn't think I would actually miss those guys. Like, so they put those little
Yeah.
those crosswalks that
Yep.
kind of tighten
Yep.
the intersection a little bit. So, that's not the best place to do it anymore. I'm like, okay, what would District Works do to kind of preserve that culture of the sideshow while also making sure we have safe and drivable streets? Because, like, we was talking about outside. You don't want to see a sideshow on the Bay Bridge. You don't want it at your intersection at
Yeah.
9 o'clock at night. But like, is there an activation or something that we could do to kind of preserve that?
Well, if I were called out to East Oakland, the first person I would call is my homie CJ Carolyn Johnson over at
You
the
know her,
Black Cultural Zone.
100%.
So I wouldn't presume to do anything without talking to the unofficial mayor of East Oakland and
Right.
getting a little buy-in and
Gotta get
hearing
that.
and listening with sincere intent and understanding the issues of the neighbors and really kind of getting more deeply involved in the culture of sideshow energy and like, figuring out what's what. Nothing happens in a bubble, and our company motto is we move at the speed of trust. So I'm not going to presume anything, but what I would say is that if celebration and gathering spaces are distinctly, what I'm saying is actually spaces to celebrate and to be together are completely lacking in this city.
Yeah.
If you just take the example I gave as a 19-year-old young man meeting Steve at the Oakland Box Theater and the 400, 500 events we did there and the 400, 500 events we did over at other spots, we need a space like that in every neighborhood in East Oakland, West Oakland, and Oakland.
Beyond, yeah.
And it needs to be treated like we used to use this thing. Exhibit had that like Pimp My Ride. We need something that's called Pimp My Venue. And then you bring kids in, and not every kid from these urban environments wants to perform. It's like we need the marketing, we need the ticketing, we need the production, we need the sound, we need the this, you need the security, you need the custodial. These are all really important jobs. And everyone is not going to be on stage. So how do we give that and like bring it at the highest possible quality level and make it clear that there's an industry for performing and there's a space that's yours, community?
Yeah.
And so I'm not thinking that that's going to, I'm not naive. I don't think like having a really high end venue in each area is going to like stop sideshow energy. But what I am saying is that sometimes it is about outlets.
Right.
And so you couple that with like what CJ's working on with like festivals out in East Oakland, and you just continue to give opportunity for people to gather in a safe and kind of, and I would dare say managed way,
Right.
but like with ownership, with buy-in,
Yeah.
and that would be my approach. I could wave a wand and focus on these types of things full time. I absolutely would. I think we need way more, not way less, opportunities to come together, and that would impart at least, here's what it would do. I think, and this is like kind of the root of everything, is it like removes the anonymity from those guys driving those cars like that.
Right.
It's like if I'm like, hey, yo, that's John, driving the car like
Just
that,
doing
and
his
I
thing,
know
yeah.
he's just doing his thing. And then he's like, it's all less likely. So the kind of fundamental of community building as we perceive it is knowing each other. And if we have shared experience, like when I walk down, I'm just meeting you now, but if I walk down the street now, I'm like, oh, what's up, Jeff?
Yeah.
Like there's now we're community, we're
Familiarity,
familiarity. You're less likely to, do this or that if you know that I know you. And it's like, oh, I know your mom. Like, let's go. Come on, knock that off. Like, let's be about it.
That's something that I think is really missing in communities in general. I think I kind of speak to this a little bit in a different conversation, but it's almost like just getting back to knowing your neighbor at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's
Yeah.
something that is fundamentally off about the way we kind of structure the way that we live. It's like, I understand, especially coming after a long day's work and you don't always want to talk to everybody
Sure.
or like, sometimes you just want to walk inside, close the door. But like, even just a simple, hey, how you doing? Or, talk about the weather as we do,
Yeah.
just to build that rapport. That's something I think that previous generations were a lot better at. I think it was also potentially, just like the housing situation that we have right now. It's like you can't necessarily choose if you want to live next to your cousin or something like that because it's not as easy to
No doubt.
make those decisions financially and stuff like that. So I just feel like that's something that I would really like to see more of, more intentional community building
Yeah.
on the grassroots level, really.
Yeah, I think that I think this conversation would miss something if we didn't talk about like the pressure cooker that we're in right now in the Bay Area.
Talk about it.
It's it's hard to come home and feel like you just worked maybe your second shift of the day,
Right.
and it's all you can do to keep that roof over your head and make that rent and to pay for the stuff around here. We have a real economic crisis in this city. Let's just stay focused on Oakland,
Right.
and it's profound and it plagues me. It's just like it's hard to think creatively.
Mm.
It's hard to think about a community. It's hard to think and not like be tense and like have those chemicals coursing through your brain and your body at all times when you're under that kind of pressure.
Mm.
It's like I'm like, CEO of a company and one or two paychecks away from, being like really tapped out.
Yeah.
Like my business partner and I, it's not easy. Like, and I make what I make, and I know what my staff makes, and I'm doing all I can to pay you all I can, but it's like that would be in really difficult position to be in. And so, as you're thinking about the economy and you're thinking about the economics and you're thinking about like health, whole person care, like that's out the door when you're just grinding.
Yeah.
Like community building, fuck all that. I
Right.
gotta go. And I'm just like, I've been working all day. I'm going to go in and sit down and I got to get right back up,
Yeah.
and it's just, and so I think that there's also like a historical disconnect, like as Amazon type stuff and all this, there's also like a kind of a thread that's missing about the economic impact that we have, our dollar staying within a community. This
Speak
is,
to that.
this is a challenge. And I think that certain communities do really well with this and others don't.
Mm.
But I think that like, there's just this continual whittling down of access to good food, access to great opportunities and jobs, whether it be vocation or otherwise. There's just this whittling down effect that's been plaguing this community, certainly Oakland,
Yeah.
that is at a historic moment. Like I just feel like it's on that precipice. The socioeconomic divide is the greatest it's ever been. Education system kind of getting eroded. And so to your point about like, like staying, like how do you kind of like maintain or how do you build that? It's difficult in that environment. Like it is, but it is like absolutely necessary, and we have to be really intentional, is I guess what I'm getting at. That it needs to be targeted. It needs to be like given the space it needs to really thrive, and it's difficult, man. I mean,
So, kind of on that same note, just speaking from your own personal practice and experiences, what are some things that you do to kind of ground yourself and be able to do the work when there is so much going on? There's so many adverse situations right now.
yeah. Well, I am, I think, motivated primarily at this point by the people around me. Like I just cannot fail. Like 130 people are dependent on me, plus my kids and my wife and family, and it's just like it's game on. Like I don't really have a choice at this point, and I go through this a lot. Like I've contemplated a lot. Like, okay, what's the next step? And I'd love to move out of country. I never went away for college, right? I've lived within 3 miles of where I was born and raised my entire life. Every part of me, every morsel of energy has been given to this thing that I've tried to describe here with you. And it's like, a lot, you know. So now it's like, I'm
Deep
in.
roots, man.
Like,
Deep roots.
okay, like what am I gonna do here? So I
Yeah.
think, you know, so for me, that motivates me. And I think in a really, if I may say so, I think it's a healthy motivation. Like I am truly passionate about it because fucking love my team. Like I would put them up against anybody.
Yeah.
Like we are really, really dope. Like what we do, we kill at. You know, I would put us above any of our competitors. It's just a hard stop. Like they don't even, it's just a matter of time is the way I feel about it, right? Before everything gets the flow it needs and we can all be, you know, balling out and like really doing this thing without like a lot of pressure about like next payroll and this and that. It's like we're just like one or two steps away and I feel like it's coming. So I'm really ambitious in that way and that's motivating the hell out of me right now. On the other side of it, I spent all this time in downtowns and everything, but I freaking absolutely adore nature. And I hike and I try to get out with my kids as much as humanly possible and turn over logs and, you know, find snakes with my little guy and, you know, go and take the dogs out. Like that's like really what my passion in life would be. If like, you know, all things fail, I'm going to become like some sort of like tour guide in some nature preserve, you know, just kind of like flip the script completely because that's really what I love to do. So I think it's a little bit of all of that. You know, it's like I think I'm incentivized properly to keep up the pace. I got a great team. My wife is my high school sweetheart, my best friend. My
Love
kids
that.
are fucking amazing. I love my boys. They're, you know, everything is kind of tight right now. And now it's about that maintenance game. Like that's the
Yeah.
thing I worry about most is like, how do you maintain that for the next, you know, 40 years?
Yeah.
But
Go.
that's what the motivating factor is, you know?
Right. Keep pushing the envelope.
Yep.
But also know I'm going to take your foot off the gas a little bit and go touch some grass, man.
Yeah, that's
you
it.
know,
They put the hands in the soil. You
yeah.
know, that's absolutely right.
I think that's, definitely one of my favorite things to do is just kind of just detach from it a little bit, go for a walk, go for a hike. I love to go up to Tilden, Joaquin Miller. We have so many beautiful spots
It's unreal.
locally. Like
Unreal how
you can
lucky
tap
we
into
are.
it. Yeah. I was watching something the other day. It was actually, it's a little tangent. It was talking about how the Bay Area kind of has this independent rap scene history. And this guy was breaking it down, trying to figure out what factors contribute to that and stuff like that. And he was talking about, the political background, like the Panthers and Cal and all these, like, just different movements that are happening in the space. Like, people are always coming here to, like, spark movements and drive change. And then you have, Too Short Trapped Out the Trunk, E40 doing his thing.
Hustling.
Going majorly independent. Same thing you see him with La Russell and stuff now,
Yep.
Larry June. But he brought it to a full circle space because he said, he thinks that the feng shui of the Bay Area can contribute to this energy because something about like the mountains representing strength and the bay and the water representing like peace, something like that. I don't know. But I just like never really thought about how lucky we are just environmentally. Like the space, the bay is, one of the most beautiful places to me. But when you think about, how many places can actually say that they have waterfronts and, those type of views,
Redwood
and then you
forests.
can go and a forest, like within about 15 minutes of each other.
It's unreal,
Yeah.
actually. I mean, and like you think about moving away and then you're like, why?
Like where?
Yeah. I
Like,
mean, it's like, okay, perfect weather. And I'm on a phone call the other with the guys from downtown Pittsburgh and there it's like, like it's 4 degrees out. I'm like, dude, it's 75 here.
Couldn't
Like,
have.
good luck.
Yeah.
No, I totally get that. It is inspiring,
Right.
just like, you're sitting there and you're like, okay, you pay the tax, you got to grind, you got to do your thing, but like at the same time, it's amazing. Like, I travel now, and I'm like, the food here is crazy.
Yeah, we just got nominated for like top food city in the States and stuff like that. Like, come on, man.
I mean, people talk a lot of, like, oh, go to here, go to. I'm not gonna say any names, but I've traveled a little bit recently, and I'm like, yeah, no, this is not even close.
All right.
Like,
do you have a favorite spot out here?
I got lots of favorite spots, but I'll just, because I was about to say it anyways, but the Cooking or Farmer in Swans Market.
Farmer, yeah.
The
Actually,
fried
been
oyster
there.
pull boy.
Okay.
Best sandwich in Oakland. Hard stop. Like, absolutely.
I gotta spin the block, man.
Unbelievably delicious.
Yeah.
So good. So, there's a lot of that though. I mean, it just kind of continues on. I mean, you go to the taco truck scene. I mean, Sinaloa. I know everyone knows it, but I'm like, dude, that place. God,
If
I
you're right,
just
you're right.
fiend for it. I'm
Yeah.
like, come on. I don't know what they put in that
Yeah.
carnitas, but so I mean, it's just yeah, all of that inspires like why all the why um, for me at least.
Yeah.
Food,
Mm,
people,
yeah. I love it, man.
yeah.
So I know we've kind of talked about it a little bit. I just want to make sure we're highlighting all of the things. Is there anything that you're particularly excited about right now that you guys are working on?
Hmm. Well, right now, let me think about that for a split sec. But well, I mean, it might be an interesting time to kind of plug a little bit of the movement. So without going too deep in the corporate structure, but ultimately there are several companies, and Steve and I basically did a reorg recently. So we have a kind of a main company, kind of the mothership company is called Works Well Industries,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where we're going to have like our whole C-suite, and then that C-suite will be shared amongst all the companies we start thereafter.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a CEO of Works Well, but I'm also CEO of OVM and CEO of District Works and CEO of this new company called Unify Now.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's like this interesting kind of emergence of an ecosystem of businesses under a portfolio.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm excited about that reorg. It kind of gave structure to some of the things that were like really unwieldy with when we were doing. Not easy to explain always, but it's like it feels good from like an organizational structure, and it gives us like a lot of like horsepower now and like
Yeah.
understanding of where everything is. That's a geeky thing for
I
me,
mean,
you know.
naming things is important
I,
though, because like when you have a multi-headed project like this, it's like if you can't quite put it into form,
mhm.
like you said, it can get really unwieldy, really messy, really quickly. So
Yeah,
just having the right structure,
yeah.
I would nerd out about that too.
It feels really good, and so we've been kind of tinkering with that for the past 2 years as things were emerging. But in that spirit, and the thing that I'm kind of excited about is that we've kind of got OVM kind of stabilizing, we've got District Work stabilizing, and we formed a new company called Unify Now, which
Mm-hmm.
is going after federal contracts.
Okay.
And we actually won a federal contract. We haven't started yet, but servicing Alcatraz Island.
Hey.
So it's like our first federal contract foray into that, and we're excited to be out there and bringing like our staffing out to the island. And this is going to be kind of hands-on like utility engineer stuff, nothing kind of glorious about it, but like
Mm-hmm.
making sure that the generators work so that the lights stay on and people can keep coming, plumbing systems, electrical systems, the vehicles out there. So it's like this new and exciting thing for us to kind of step into.
Yeah.
So that's like a fun project that we hope we get to launch in the coming month here. So it's exciting to me because it's new,
Mm-hmm.
and I love that right now is that like we're getting these opportunities to kind of spread our wings and figure out and really problem solve,
Yeah.
which is what I love to do.
I love that. No, that's awesome. We're definitely looking forward to that. I guess continuing to push our gaze forward. You said your partner is a bit of the visionary, but what is your vision just for a brighter future for our communities?
Um, well, I think well, I'll share an idea with you, and maybe you could unpack it with me a little bit.
Let's take it
All
there.
right. So we talked a lot through this conversation about, story and perceptions of Oakland, and kind of on that theme. You're familiar that the kind of Oakland motto is love life? Have you heard that?
I feel like I can recognize that. Yeah.
Okay. So if you go to, you're going in and out of the city, love life is
I
like the
have seen that.
motto.
Yeah.
Okay. So this was pushed forward by some folks. I don't remember the exact starting point for that movement, but I know that kind of like Kev Choice got behind it. Kev Choice, like
Mm.
love that guy. He's a friend, colleague, and someone we've worked with a great deal, and I've got a lot of admiration for. And I know he has this really interesting love letter to Oakland and to the Love Life movement.
Mm.
And one thing I struggle with is that, there's a lot of folks in Oakland that don't love life.
Mm.
And actually they kind of don't have like the same regard for it that some have, I
Right.
have, and I'm finding more and more in my old age, I begin to understand that more and more. And it's like some of the themes that we've talked about tonight, where you're kind of like, if you don't feel you have opportunity, if you don't feel seen, if you don't have mentorship, it would be a completely different Andrew if I didn't have all of those things line up for me.
Right.
And so even, with the silver spoon in my mouth growing up and where I grew up and all that, it is still difficult. So imagine without it. And so I think about this idea of love life and the common story and like this goal to make it so that like as a community, that actually like takes shape and is something that we all imbibe and get on board with. And I'll give you an example that really stood out to me as I went to Costa Rica. And if you've ever been there, you check in with someone, it's like pura vida, pure life. How you doing? Pura vida,
Mm.
you know? Okay, like, oh, okay, yeah, pure life, yeah. So it's a thematic thing, and it's a mantra. It's a important feature of what they have going on. And I just think that thematically, culturally, spiritually, we need to get to a point where we can say that with earnestness and truth and be like, love life.
Yeah.
And it's like when I'm dapping you up and we see each other,
That's
love life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I would like to see that.
I'd like to see that. I think there's something really there, and like and I don't want to be disingenuous.
Right.
And I don't, you're on a beach in, Costa Rica and you're a bartender. Pura vida, it makes sense.
It's easy to love life.
It's easy like, yeah, I get it. We got to earn it there here. So it's an idea. It's out there. I didn't create it. I'm just really fond of it. I think that we need something like that. We have our culture that we share in, if you're from Oakland, you get it, it's like, there's a grittiness, there's that funk that we have, the out the trunk mentality, the hustler mentality, the entrepreneurial mentality. It is all of that. But it's not all of that for everyone.
Right.
And so I really just thematically would love to make like my mark on this town is to, create as many well-paying jobs within an environment that people felt, the whole body care, whole person care, intergenerational wealth can be developed with me, that we're making impact. And that ultimately that theme isn't like some faulty, like, tourist trap thing. It's like, no, it's love life. And it's like what we're about, and that's like what I want to get us to. And I think there's a couple different ways to get there. And I have my 2 cents about how we get there.
Give us a little flavor taste, man. What you think?
Well, I think that structurally, this city has been, plagued by, just a kind of continuum of fits and starts, right? It's like we can't, I feel like it's kind of like that. If Steve was here, it'd be like, we always get a contract, lose a contract. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. It's just this constant, struggle where, hugely impactful, through the 40s and 60s, like lots of wealth built in the Black and brown communities, like lots of education, spawns panthers, crushed by government. Like it's all this give and take and pull. And like, I'm looking for some consistency, but it's really going to take everyone to be consistent. Like we have to be kind of pulling in the same direction. So we need great leadership. And I don't mean at a political level. I don't think it has to be that.
Right.
I just think it needs to be, something's got to give in that way. Now, got to focus on, mentorship opportunities. We've got to focus on housing. We got to focus on these key kind of structural issues that are a little bit above my pay grade. But what my goal, like my role, I think my ambition is that this, that what I do as a business can become really important workforce engines. So just kind of throw it out there. If you're doing a lot of events and you need a lot of people who are in events, job opportunities. And so if we can get behind this idea that celebration and art and culture is our thing, is our jam, then we should not be having a hard time raising funds for it. It should be a key feature. A New Orleansification needs to happen here, where it's like buskers, live music everywhere. It is a part of our culture, and everyone has got to be a participant in that. And I'll take it a step further that like it's hard doing events in Oakland because no one wants to pay to go see an event. Like no one's trying to come out of pocket to like pay a band right now. Like it's like we have to get past that as a community. So, ultimately creating a scene an infrastructure to kind of hone that in. And I think there's a lot of jobs, a lot of like indirect impact to industry that the events business brings. Like a lot of like economic development can happen through events. That should be something we really focus on. And then this urban place management side of what we do, every single neighborhood in Oakland should have like a place management program. I mean, like seminary, business corridor needs one, but they can't really afford it under its normal circumstances. It's hard to employ people and have that infrastructure, but like we need to look at urban place management, and we need to go out to these smaller neighborhoods, and we need to have these staffing deployments of people from those neighborhoods being paid well to care for those neighborhoods. And this goes beyond what the city should be doing. I'm not infringing on PWA or OPD or any of that stuff. This is in addition to. That stuff needs to exist. The tax structure exists. Go fix the potholes, put up the signs, manage the business. This white glove service where you're like, it's community policing at its finest, however you want to say it. But it's like this workforce of urban place management, you could literally hire 800, 500, 800, 1,000 people to go out and to be place managers like my team does for downtown Oakland. And it still would just be a drop in the bucket.
Yeah.
But it is so impactful pound for pound when you have people from those communities in service to community, making a fair, good wage, benefits, health benefits, 401k, bonusing, feeling like honored, like I can do this. And then, knowing your community in that way, it's just like, this needs to be like what I'm going to push forward. Like, I mean, what this needs to be. I am going to push this forward. I think it's what it needs to be. I think it needs to be a lot of job creation. So I think that that's my role in what Oakland needs. It needs a lot of things, but I think that that's where me and my team are going to continue to focus and try to drum up, funding, however we fund it, to bring this service out to communities that can't afford our services like under the kind of normal terms.
Yeah. I'm sold, man. Andrew for mayor, y'all. Yeah, I like that a lot. Like you said, a lot of things there, especially the two things: the mentorship element, like getting these kids early, letting them know what opportunities there are. Like you said, even on the production level, like you might not be the actor, you might be behind the camera, you might be the stage manager, you might be doing lighting, but understanding, to kind of take that analogy to our social and city environments, it's like you have a role to play.
Yeah.
And you kind of focused in on, I'm going to try and, create these jobs and create this feeling of safety and this buy-in from the community. Everybody else, find your thing and figure out what you can contribute to your community and, start there. I'm really fond of that vision. That's
awesome.
dope, man.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to ask you now. You already hitting all the notes.
Are you familiar with this concept? I might butcher the pronunciation. I'm really sorry, y'all, but I say it Ikigai.
Ikigai, yeah.
Okay. I think that in principle,
they should teach that in school.
100%.
Yeah.
And I will just say it's what drives basically my everyday.
So for those who don't know, can you put them on game real quick? What's Ikigai?
Yeah. So it's something that you... it is a Japanese term, and it's like life and kind of intention blended together. And so purpose and meaning, and it's an overlapping Venn diagram of ideas. And basically it's a blending of being in community service, having a vocation that makes impact in the community, being in service through your vocation, weaving passion into your vocation. And ultimately, when you achieve balance, you've reached Ikigai. You're basically living a life in service and of meaning, and it doesn't have to be for free.
Right.
It's not necessarily anti-capitalistic. It is saying that there is a way to do it, though, that it can be meaningful. And I think of all my guys that like have jobs, and maybe they make more money than me, maybe they don't, whatever. But every day I'm in service. And so I come home feeling fulfilled. I'm
Right.
excited about what it is. And I know that I can leverage my corporate structure to create good.
Hmm.
And it's just an important idea that drives a lot of what I focus on daily. And so passion, really, whenever I meet with someone, the almost the first word of my mouth is, what are you passionate about?
Mm.
Because, I can give you a job, but I might be able to find you like a long-term career if I know what you're passionate about.
Right.
And so passion is something that I would just say everybody needs to be considering. And I think that that's like a core tenet of the Ikigai, overlapping, balance.
Yeah.
And so finding that balance, super important. And I agree that it should be more widely shared as
Yeah.
an idea.
I think it's interesting that you mentioned this and just kind of, going back to your background, going through a monastery. I think that's something that, I would like to see more of, like just more non-traditional schooling paths becoming traditional.
Yeah.
Like, because I feel like, at least my understanding of a monastery is that kind of like what your principal or mentor did was just like, go figure out what you want to do.
Yeah.
And they kind of work the curriculum around you.
Yep.
I would love to see, especially these East Bay youth just have that freedom and get poured into, because there's so many, creative kids out here who just, like you said, don't really have outlets.
That's right.
And, the earlier that they're exposed to opportunities, but more so even just validated on what they're interested in, what they're passionate about, can go so far. So, for example, I know there was like a lot of stigma around video games and stuff when they first, kind of
Sure.
hit the
Sure.
mainstream and started to become where kids want to spend a lot of their time. And, it was always, generations going to do this anyway. Like, your music sucks, your activities suck, you guys are lame. But like, I feel like, something that I recognize, because I was never really a big gamer, but I would always see my friends kind of like getting, you know, reprimanded for their screen time and saying,
Sure.
okay, that's not going to get you, that's not going to pay your bills, it's not going to do blah, 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 blah. But like, times change, economies emerge, and like now you got professional gamers and stuff like that. I think about, my cousins and my nephews, if they was like encouraged instead of reprimanded, like
Right.
y'all could have been on, esports and stuff like that.
No doubt.
So it's just about how you kind of, frame things and, shifting people's mindsets around what education looks like and what careers and actualization and fulfillment can look like.
Couldn't agree with you more. I mean, I think that again, like that idea of balance, it's hard for me in some ways
Mm.
to visualize a gamer being in service to community.
Mm.
I think that finding balance in what you do, and there's a really interesting story about like World of Warcraft, where there's someone who had like pretty severe cerebral palsy and kind of lived through World of Warcraft, actually created a really interesting and beautiful community of friends online, and was actually mentoring people through the program, and became, so I had an idea of what gaming is, and it's like, oh, NBA 2K or whatever. I don't know,
Right.
like, how are you going to make impact, or like, what are you going to do with that?
Yeah.
But then there's these ideas that are out there that are just like foreign to me. And so when you learn about it, I'm like, whoa, that was profound. I mean, I remember tearing up when I read this thing, and his parents had no idea that he was living this life,
Yeah.
and that he had lived like approximately like whatever 15 years of time within the World of Warcraft world, and had girlfriend, and had really deep emotional experiences. So to your point, we do have to be open that there's other ways of doing things,
Right.
and we have to kind of give space for that. And I think that life in general would be more rich if people did that more often, than just like shut people down.
Yeah.
I know from my personal experience, I hope I'm not perceived that way, even though I can be sort of curmudgeon-y at times, and I know hard on my kids and whatever, and it's like, you're like, okay, but you got to listen and be open to it. So I totally applaud what you just said. That really does work.
Definitely easier said than done, but we could try. We could try.
Well, let the dream drive the action,
There
right?
you go. I like that. I find a way. Okay, so question I'd love to ask people, and it's kind of funny just based on what you just said, because you don't want to like, you know, be the end all be all. But if you had just won the presidency of Earth, you are the undisputed leader. You can implement anything what is something that you would implement to try and, push us in the right direction?
Well, I mean, I think that being in the wealthiest country on the planet in the history of the planet Earth and having anyone suffering on the streets, living in squalor that we see right around us right now is just like an immediate hard stop. Like, and I don't know what that takes. I don't want the Gestapo running up and pulling people into vans, but really building out enough housing, building out, I mean, like just as perspective, what, less than 700,000 people will sleep on the streets of America tonight? 700,000 people? This is
It's
a
doable.
point of a percentile of the population. Like we can figure this out.
There's empty houses.
It's really a manageable. It is a FEMA level issue. I don't think that cities should be doing it personally. This is my thing, but I do think it is manageable. And I think that if I got a given a wand, everybody, every child, every human being is safe and has supportive services and is educated and safe. Whatever that takes shape. Certainly well fed. Nutrition is
right
key,
next. Yeah.
and we're like right there. That to me feels like just really low hanging fruit for what America,
Couldn't agree more.
this nation of ours can achieve. Right behind that though is everything environmental. I mean, it just hard stop. We have to be leading the charge of like getting off, fossil fuels and being really thoughtful and ambitious around how we conduct ourselves, both from like this insane meat addiction that we have and to fossil fuels and just like all of it just has to be rethought in a meaningful way because we are burning up the place right now.
Poor household management.
That's
unbelievable.
Bro,
So I'm glad you said that because that's actually, I think, the first time somebody's specifically, I'm probably blanking, but said environmental. And I never answered the question myself, but I think that mine would be banning all non-essential plastics. Like if you can package it in something else, it just should not be allowed at this point because it is not going anywhere. It's going to our oceans. It's going to our foods. It's going everywhere except for away.
Yeah.
And that just drives me nuts.
Okay, so just some like really rough math, but my company this last year picked up, it's right below 2 million, but somewhere between probably 1.75 and 2 million pounds of trash off the streets of Oakland. It's a phenomenal problem what we have like in terms of like how we care for the earth. There is such a disconnect between our relationship to the environment and in our like personal health and well-being. And I struggle because I don't get it.
Right.
I spend all day long cleaning trash, removing graffiti, human feces, dog feces, all these things that we pick up all day long. Just unbelievable, copious amounts of shit that happens overnight. It's like, we just cleaned.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's just this complete disregard. If I could wave a wand, it might start there.
Yeah.
Like, no more littering. Like, you just profoundly stop littering, you stop microplastics, and then the other thing is just like, if we don't need it, don't buy it.
Don't make it.
Like,
because then they'll stop making it if you don't buy it.
It's like this whole, like, I don't know, I could go on and on, but like, I like the idea of having like an outfit that is made of like 7 to 10 core pieces of clothing. And that's what you rock.
What is that
for
called?
like, 10 years because it's made well. And it's just like, you don't need to constantly Temu it and whatever the hell. I don't even know. I'm just made that up. I think that's what they call it. But it's like, that stuff I'm diametrically opposed to that. I just cannot stand that kind of waste.
No, I'm blanking on what that thing is called. But it's like there's a certain way you can structure your wardrobe to where it's like you have a couple staples and you can mix and match them and you have a.
I mean, like think about it. 100 years ago, you could have a pair of jeans, maybe a nice pair of slacks, your little church get up, and you're like, that's basically it. Yeah. And you got to make that work
Sunday
because
best.
it was really expensive to have clothes, right?
Yeah.
I just like that kind of mentality we got to get back to. It's like greatness comes from the subtraction of all this shit that you're constantly putting into your body and
putting on your body.
It's like, I can't, so that's like just me. That's a little,
I felt
yeah,
that.
like,
Do more with
you know,
less. We could
hyped up here,
definitely,
but yeah,
yeah.
that's
That's
me.
the passion right there.
Yeah.
We love
So,
that. Okay. Okay. I think we're getting somewhere, y'all. Something that I kind of wanted to do with you because you said so many great things. And, we can't just always, or you can't ever really just wave the wand and, make magic happen. So, what are some things that you think that we could do to take tangible steps in that direction? For example, like specifically thinking about district works and the work you guys are
yeah.
doing, like would there be an activation that you would just, off top of the dome geared towards uh, driving one of these outcomes that you just mentioned?
You know, well, as a call to action for Oakland in general,
Mm.
it's support the events that we do have.
Yeah.
You know, it's we cannot continue to host these events and do poorly.
Mm.
It just it doesn't work. And I'm not saying that like for instance, Black Joy Parade is this weekend. I don't think there's a ticket. So just go,
To show up.
enjoy it, show
Yeah.
up, buy something, support a vendor, sponsor it, make it so that that team can make a living doing the Herculean task of putting on one of the best curated events in Oakland. And then if you really think where I think they want it to go is that, the long-term arc of that, if done well, is that Oakland becomes a mecca for Black history activations.
Mm.
And it becomes a month-long celebration
That would
instead
be
of a
awesome.
day long.
Yeah.
And that's like, I believe that's, kind of in for the most part, the producer's kind of vision. And I totally love that idea. And you can see there that like that vision and having an anchor at the end and then backfilling, what does that take? It takes us supporting her. It takes us supporting them. It takes us giving back to that energy. And we could then ultimately have something that stabilizes and is like really powerful for the future. So that's just kind of like an example of what I think we as just like, and if you take it, kind of you keep going with that idea is like we need infrastructure to produce great music here. We need studios. We need film houses. We need
Mm.
like really talented people recognizing that this is a great place to do that business.
Yeah.
And I really want to be a part of that. Like the film industry
I would
needs
love.
to be here.
Yeah.
It's unequivocally one of the best places to film, but it's like not necessarily to work in the film industry. And so how do
Right.
we kind of bridge those gaps and support those folks? And so these are like really obvious, like it's not all that complicated to figure that out.
Yeah.
And there's people working on this right now. I mean,
Right. I think I've heard whispers of Steph Curry with a production company and stuff like that.
sure.
But,
And
takes a
there's
village.
that's right,
Mm.
exactly. And I mean, advocating for the industries that really kind of create and entry level meaningful jobs, because not everybody can be all that in this, and it takes time and it takes energy, but like a lot of people can participate from the catering, the craft services, the shuttling, the hotels get full, the venues get used. I mean, when you start thinking about the economic impact of events and entertainment, it's
Yeah.
just something that like that's my background, so it's like I'm more fluent with, but that's
Right.
like a place where I think KRS once said edutainment.
Mm.
It's like
Mm.
it's both
More of that.
meaningful
Yeah.
and it's also an actual job, a gig,
Talking about
so
Ikigai, that's
yeah,
that's one of them ones.
that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah, that's exactly right. So it's like I think that we as a community need to demand that kind of thing more. And certainly when we get it and you get someone to lay it on the line and
Mm.
do an event, it's like get out there and support them.
Man, 100%. I love what you said earlier about the New Orleans vacation, or like I almost think of like even a little bit of Vegas because they have
Yeah.
just the entertainment industry is kind of like what they built around. But like we got to like just imagine if All Star was like every weekend, right?
Yeah.
That what would our city be? What would our neighborhoods be? Our communities be? So it doesn't have to be at that scale, of course, but just having consistency throughout the year of different activations and people supporting those,
Yeah.
people rallying around these events. I definitely see that vision.
I guess the call to action though too is in some ways is like how do you get people to buy into that in such a way that that the experience of those that aren't from here continues to kind of I mean the obvious the elephant in the room is like bipping or whatever. It's like we like we you can't have both.
Right.
You can't have that and people coming and feeling like really great about spending
Yeah.
their money here. So I would just argue that like how we as a community, I certainly don't have the answer, but
I,
how do we as a community?
I think you do though, because if your vision becomes true where, these young kids especially are able to provide for themselves and get benefits and get these good
Sure.
paying jobs, I'm less likely to risk it all to go bid for, something I'm not gonna get to keep.
So there we go.
Yeah.
So that's the question and the answer. It's like we have to get that buy-in from the community to understand the economic impact, to understand how it leads to them, and that education
It is kind of like
is
a vicious cycle though, because it's like if the kids are bipping, then there's no businesses to come in to provide those jobs. So it's like you chicken or the egg, right?
how do you explain these kind of macroeconomics to someone and make it click? And I don't know about that, but I know from experience that it does matter. And so it's up to us. And it kind of goes back to kind of like some of the questions you had about like East Oakland and kind of like the historic neighborhoods
Hmm.
and building community and having an interaction with your neighbors that was meaningful because like, hey, it's not a neighbor, but he's also the butcher, and he's
Right.
he's also the baker, or they're also the run the laundry. And so you kind of you have that internal economics that is really meaningful.
Yeah,
And as we separate from that, our storytelling, the sharing of that impact has to be more aggressive,
I agree.
more targeted and focused than ever. And I would bet that if you went out to most people in Oakland, I mean, like deep East Oakland, West Oakland, whatever, and you talk to someone on the block about, macroeconomics, while it may not be foreign, it may not be, native to them at that moment, but like in Oakland, someone from Oakland on the block is going to know about economics. They're like, I get that.
Yeah.
But now, how do we incentivize the next step? How do we continue to make them feel a part of the process in a meaningful way?
Yeah.
And that's what we're all got to be about. And that I do agree is like kind of part where I can come in, because jobs and being able to sell and create opportunities and problem solve, sure, I'm figuring out my hustle there, and I think
Yeah.
I can be a part of that, and I want to be. But these are the constant toggles in my life. Is
Yeah.
you know
And I think, wanting to be there and, starting that conversation is at least half the battle. What G.I. Joe say, knowing is half the battle.
yeah,
So we got to know
exactly.
what's up and then, hopefully do something about it
Yeah.
together. It's not just, it's not all on Andrew, man. I know he said he going for mayor, but I ain't
Stop.
going to put that all on him.
I didn't say anything
Y'all
about
heard him,
mayor.
right?
I said nothing about that.
Duh. Well, Andrew, this has been wonderful, man. Two things
Yeah.
before I let you go.
Sure.
You kind of hit it already. You gave us some action items, which I love. Call to action. Make sure you guys are doing what you can. What's something that you want people to know just right now, whether it's about the work you're doing or just, whatever you want to give them?
Well, I think that the moment we're in, we need people recognizing that they need to understand their own value better than ever. And there's no more walking into a job in a passive way, wondering, am I going to get this? And, am I good enough? It's like you need to understand your worth. You need to walk in, and corporations need to get it. And you need to demand that they do get it, and that you get paid well. You're in an environment that is safe, and you're taken care of. Like, we need to, as a community, demand more from our employers and those corporations. If not, we start them and we make that a reality for ourselves and those around us. There is no more passively moving through this, I mean, go ahead, but
Do you?
that's gonna end poorly for you. So I think this kind of like measure of self-worth, this like like whether it be ambition, but I'm not coined the term, but I'm using the term in my own organization now, radical accountability. It's like we need to be accountable to ourselves, our community, everything we've talked about. And when we walk in and we're trying to figure out what we're doing and where we got to go, if you want things to change, you better be radically accountable and ready to go in there and shake it up and demand more and earn that and, build skills, upskill, handle biz right now, because it is absolutely not in anyone's favor anymore, and demand an ownership stake, understand what that means. And if you don't expect me to like open up that door for you. It's like you need to be able to come at me correct and be like, yo, I want an ownership stake. I want 50% of your company when I double your company. That's a Henry J. Kaiser quote. It's like, that's tight. Okay. Like, then we can work with that, right?
Yeah.
You have to kind of start moving forward with that self-worth. And so that's what I want everyone that comes in, I hire, and I'm hiring people all the time, to be in that mindset. Those are the kind of hustlers I want. They get it. They're going to put in the work, and that's what it's going to take these days.
Yeah.
And that's everything that's meaningful that's going to come out of this, and what I do is going to come directly from the people that I hire and their conduct.
Yeah.
And so
You gotta come with that
get
energy.
after it.
Yeah.
I'm just, and demand more from me. If I'm employing you, demand more from me. Have a goal. Where am I in 1 year? Where am I in 2? You don't have a plan for me? Then I'm on the way. And that needs to be the baseline.
That's the type of time we gotta be on, man.
Absolutely.
My boy Mike behind the camera keeps saying, no more business as usual, because it's not business as usual no more, y'all.
It isn't.
You gotta switch the game up. We gotta come with that energy you're talking about, because it's get with it or get lost right now.
I'm telling you, stakes are incredibly high, and it's going to take your full focus and energy to get it right. And so I just know that it's not going to get any easier
Right.
until you kick down that door, and you've got the skills, you've got the abilities, and that's going to take lots of hard work. Everything is a vocation. Everything is an opportunity to upskill. Get on Google Workspace, figure out, any legal stuff, just kind of continue to build a skill set, work on written and oral communication, like whatever it is. There's more information out there than ever. You've got to find it. You got to upskill. You got to be a
Internet
part
is your
of
best
it.
friend.
I'm telling you, and it's like I spent a ton of time on that myself, like just, like listening to coaching, this and that, leadership podcasts, whatever it is to kind of make sure that I've got the edge. You got to do it. And otherwise it's, you're not going to get paid top of the market, all that. And so I just want that for everybody, that there's like this innate desire to do better. And then there's lots of opportunity.
Definitely. I saw something the other day. I think I reposted it. Said, whatever you think you are capable of, multiply that by 15. Like, just moonshot it, because, you can limit yourself with your own beliefs. So
Yeah.
you got to lean into, your strengths, your passions, and just actually, believe in yourself and shoot for stars. Before we let you go, last thing.
No, yeah.
I know you gave
No
us some
rush.
great calls to action. You gave us some great, words of advice. What's just, the energy you want to leave people with? Last, final thoughts.
I want, more than anything, that people are, certainly those around me, those that I consider close, that there is a sense of purpose that kind of permeates what we do. Even in this room with me right now with y'all, and like what you're trying to accomplish with this, show, that's the energy that you should be around. Like we talk a lot as parents, like, hey, your friends, they're not hustling. They're not doing their thing. Like, you might not want to be around that energy, right?
Yeah.
It wears off on you, so being around people that are purpose driven, that are about handling themselves and conducting themselves with purpose and passionate. I just think that that's where we're at right now. There's a lot of environmental things, there's other things, but like, just for those that are listening, that's what I hope people take away from me and my team. That's what we want to inspire, is that this is everything, that this is right now. This is a moment, like urban spaces, events, Oakland, the nation. It needs what we've got. And that's our mandate. So, I think it's a very healthy place to be from. Like, anybody having purpose is like, it's an important facet of well-being. So I think that's kind of what I would leave you with, that I hope that people pick up from us, that this is what we're built for. It's what we're kind of ultimately figured out that we were meant to do.
Right on, y'all. Wise words, man. Mind that circle. What they say is like the people you hang around the most, the first 5 people, is who you're gonna be most like. So
I haven't
just
heard that. I like that.
mind that circle.
Yeah, behind that circle.
Yeah. Andrew, this
Funny.
has been an absolute
Hey,
pleasure. Thank you
thank
so
you.
much.
Appreciate
Oh,
you.
wait. No, I can't let you get out of here without you showing your shirt, man. This is a real one
Oh,
right here. Shout out to The Wire.
The Wire, my favorite. There's my guy,
Man,
Omar. Yeah. No, it's for real.
I
I
love
love
it.
that show. I've watched it like 4 times. And it's so crazy similar to what goes on in Oakland. It's
Yeah.
nutty. So, anyways, David Simon, Treme, all the stuff that whole team did. Those are pieces of art, like
Yeah.
the whole show. And yeah, I want to be a part of something that is that meaningful in my life too. That's what inspires me. It's like, you're like, damn.
Well, I think you're well on your way,
Hey, well, I
man.
appreciate it. Well, thank you. Thank you for that. I don't,
Yeah.
I hope to earn it. And thank you for hosting. This is an amazing
Thank
thing
you
you
for
all are
being here,
doing. I could
man.
not be more proud of what you all are, trying to accomplish, and I'm being a part of it. It's just ridiculous. Love it. And Michael for bringing us in.
Love having you, man.
Yeah.
Andrew Jones, everybody.
Thank you.